So please excuse me. It paused as I was looking for Genesis 38, verse 29 to 30. This talks about Tamar's twins. Tamar's twins, Zerah and Perez. Perez brought, Zerah brought out his hand first, right? And then the midwife tied a scarlet thread around him, saying, "This one came out first." But then he withdrew his hand, and his brother Perez was the one who actually was the firstborn. And then the midwife asked, "How did you break through?" And then his name was Perez. And then Zerah came out as the secondborn, even though initially it was thought that he would be the firstborn. So this, again, is reminiscent of Jacob and Esau. How Jacob came out holding the heel of Esau, and how the secondborn actually got the birthrights of the firstborn. And so most of these people who wear scarlet threads around them, they show you that their ancestry has to do with Tamar. And the fact that a lot of them obviously have, they are uncomfortable with the fact that there was a chosen people that are called the Israelites. Why did God choose them? There were others that came before them. Whatever their motivations are, all of them band together because they have some sort of agenda against God. They have a hefty agenda against God, that they've dedicated their lives and their ministries to hate God, to blaspheme God, to mock Him. I want to tell you a history about the town that I live in Johannesburg. This place called North Riding or North Hang. How you see the mockery of God, that they know that the Bible is real. They know that God, the God of the Bible, is the real God. They have a rock, at the entrance of the town. They have a dome, just within the town. They have a place that they call a valley of the shadow of death. They have a field. They have all of these things that have imagery that has to do with the Bible. So you cannot tell me that these people, they don't do what they do because of God. Let me continue. I'm just going to name the symbolism, because otherwise we're going to have a part 7 again, just like my testimony. That they tried to discredit. Anyway, so there's the symbolism of the swirls and I'm just going to post it because these people hurt children. They're pedophiles. They call themselves boy lovers and girl lovers. Black and white and red, purple and pink. They have the shh sound, the finger on the mouth to say keep quiet, silence, because again, theirs is to lie, theirs is to keep secrets. But also anyone who attempts to speak the truth, they tell you shh. Anyone who attempts to speak, that's why they had my throat bound. They had my throat bound. They wanted me to be mute so that I couldn't speak. But here we are. God had other plans. So mountain, stone, again, this is imagery that is in Exodus that God uses to represent Himself. So what they've done is they've partnered with creation. God said in Romans 8 that these people know God. They know because God has made it clear through creation everything that is to be known about Him, both His visible and invisible qualities. So they've studied God quite clearly. They've studied the Bible quite clearly. They know who He is. And I'm going to show you exactly that they know who He is. But again, can you not tell me that this is an agenda against God? Because now obviously they go to mountains and they do fire rituals. Again, why do they do that? Because God said He is the consuming fire. Every time we see fire, God is the one. It is used to describe the character of God. But what do they do when they go up the mountain? To have rituals with fire and all of that. And what is so interesting is, when God came down to meet the Israelites for the first time, He obviously descended in all His glory. There was thunder, there was lightning, because creation was announcing that the Creator is here. That's what creation was doing. That's why God could not have come silently. And God says consistently, He comes as a pillar of fire Whenever you see fire, even when Ezekiel describes the whirlwind, the glory, the appearance of the glory of God, he says it was like a fire that was emanating from within the cloud, the color of amber. But what do? They create movies called The Elementals to partner, to show you their partnership with creation. Outside of the creator, even things like stones, house. So for me, when I got sacrificed, after they got me to do the ritual, the things that they were showing me in my dreams, they were showing me visions of houses. They were showing me visions of going to camp. Outside of the cat imagery and all of that. So all of these things are gleaned from the Bible. They take these terminologies from the Bible. If you do a Bible word study, you will see exactly that the words that appear the most in the Bible, those are the words that they tend to use for their imagery, for their symbolism. The one hand, that most of them you'll see that they have one hand covered and they show only one hand. And this has to do with the fact that God says, with a mighty hand I delivered Israel out of Egypt. The word hand, Moses and his hand that had to be held up during the fight of Amalek and the Israelites. All of those things. And then things like lying, and then the word master. So when you see the music that they pretend is Christian music, there's a lot of music that is sung by people who are not Christians, and they sing it pretending as if they're singing to God, but they're not. So most of these musics that you'll see, the terms, the topics that you'll see within the music is the term master, Lord. So the way that they've built their society, it's a high it's in the form of hierarchy. Excuse me, my voice is still coming back. My throat is still coming back. The Holy Spirit had to do a lot of work. They had bound my throat. I even had a stutter. It was so difficult to speak. Sometimes my mind, they caused me to be forgetful. They tampered with my memory. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. I'm here now. So in any case, what happened is that I was talking about master, Lord, master. So the way that they build their structures, there's a master. Someone has a master. Someone will always have a master. They will have a Lord on top of them. And then you'll have it's a pyramid scheme. Yep, it's a pyramid scheme. That's what I'll call it. And then I talked about the scarlet threads. So constantly in the Bible, you'll hear the term, then I lifted my eyes to see certain things. Right. For example, when Abram's servant brings Rebekah for Isaac, it said that Isaac was meditating in the field and then he lifted his eyes to see Rebekah. So you'll see that most of these people who house demons, they will have the upturned eyes, those scary eyes, or even those dances that you see on TikTok where they do like this, where they turn, where you only see the whites of the eyes. That has to do with the Bible too. That's symbolism from the Bible too. And then the wolf, because the Bible talks about the wolf in sheep's clothing. They are the wolves in sheep's clothing. And then how they constantly use satire and mockery. That's like their main language, satire and mockery, because they mock God. And you'll see this in Genesis 39 verse 17. Again, for the sake of time, I'm not going to read it. And then the signet ring, how they'll tell you there's certain pastors that hold that wear signet rings. For example, at the place that I thought was a church, CRC, the senior pastor there had a signet ring, and he called it a bishop's ring. So whenever you see people with rings like that, they are representative of Pharaoh. They are the oppressor of the Israelites. They are God's enemy. Okay. And then you'll see the honey, bees, and milk, because again, God said that I'm going to take the Israelites to their promised land, a land of milk and honey. So I'm going to tell you a quick story about how in primary school I got attacked by bees. I got attacked by bees. And they definitely orchestrated that, because what do they do in schools? They open portals in schools. That's what they do. This is what these people do. In any case, so yeah, the honey, the bees, the milk. This is again a mockery of God's land of milk and honey that he gave to his chosen people, the Israelites. So are you telling me still that there's no agenda? Because are you telling me that there's no agenda against first and foremost the Israelites, but definitely against God? Not first and foremost, against first and foremost God, but definitely what God terms as his chosen people, the Israelites? Are you going to tell me that there's no agenda here? Okay. Then they use the rainbow. The rainbow was God's sign that he was never going to bring a flood to destroy people, to destroy his creation again. That was a sign of his covenant. And they use the rainbow, of course. They've corrupted it. They use the rainbow for homosexuality. But also when you see the shape of the rainbow, it's a dome. The shape of the rainbow testifies of the fact that God says he created a dome to cover the earth. Okay. They sunglasses, obviously this is like masks. Again, God says that the eyes are the windows to the soul. They just don't want you to see them. There's certain people that God gifts the ability to see, and so they cover their eyes so that you can't see what's in their soul or what is not in their soul. And then you get there's this anime that's called One Piece. This comes from Exodus 29 verse 19 and Exodus 20. It comes from Exodus 25 verse 19 and Exodus 25 verse 31. This is where God is giving the pattern as to how he's giving the pattern as to how the tabernacle is supposed to be built by Moses. And he says that the lampshade and the arms ought to be of one piece, and he repeats this. And so what they do is they take wording from the Bible, they take certain important imagery motifs from the Bible, and then they corrupt them. So that when you read the Bible, that talks about milk, honey, and all of that, you're going to think of the corrupted imagery that they put to society. And then the descendants, I know Disney created a movie called Descendants where there's just monsters and all of that stuff, vampires, but it has to do with the descendants of who these people, that these people are the descendants of certain people in the Bible that they feel God did them dirty. And so they've made it their life's work to blaspheme God. Believe it or not, it is true. Okay, and then the term father, this is why they make sure that, there's a fatherless society, because if you have to study how many times the word father shows up in the Bible, it's very important. It's pretty important. Blessing, most of their music has to do with, being blessed. I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm this and that. Again, they purport themselves to be Christian artists, to be Christian music, but it's not Christian music. If you actually listen to the lyrics, they are blaspheming God. There's this song, for the love of God. Now, come on. Are you telling me that that's not blasphemy towards God, that someone is not cursing God? Because that's a term that's used in society to blaspheme God. And someone created a Christian song called For the Love of God. And you're going to tell me that these people are worshiping God with their music. They are not. When you see artists creating music about Lord, Master, here am I, they're talking about their Lord or whoever is on top of them. Whatever umbrella they belong to. They're not talking about God. Rock. I told you about the rock and the dome that is around this town here. And then I am. How they openly blaspheme the name of God. Artists giving themselves this name. And the thing is, they've been framing it like, the group, the Illuminati, is just musicians. No. Nope. Churches, I'm not going to call them churches, but they're not church, but they pretend to be churches. They pretend to be pastors. They pretend to be apostles, but they're not. Yeah? Okay. Altar. sacrifice. These people still perform sacrifices. These people have altars. You know, this is what they do. And obviously, an altar is supposed to be created for God. There's somewhere where God says, do not create my altar where you have to use stairs to get there. Now, what's one of the primary symbolism that you see artists constantly going upstairs? You see the symbolism of Adidas. Those are stairs. Those are stairs. Again, they're constantly doing sacrifices. The sea, they worship the sea. Lion. I mean, there's a mountain called Lion's Head in Cape Town. Who named it that? They'll tell you that if you look really closely, there's a mountain. Really? Is there? Is there? There's a face of a mountain. Nah, it's a lie. It's blasphemy. Waters and then bathtubs, of course. So bathtubs has to do with just like the rituals that they do, inviting demons. I know because they had me do that ritual to invite demons into my body. Yeah, so that they could do whatever it is that they were doing. And then test. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to start another video.